Happy Friday, everyone. Today I'm reviewing the Annotated Chronicles, Dragons of Autumn Twilight specifically. It's Friday, so grab a drink. I got mine, and let's dive in. Welcome to another Dragonlance Saga episode. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to review the Annotated Chronicles, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, ring the bell, and you can further help this channel and pick up Dragonlance gaming materials using my affiliate link in the description below. This is my perspective only, and if you have any thoughts or disagree with me, I invite you to share your thoughts in the live YouTube chat. We're going to be talking specifically about Dragons of Autumn Twilight in the Annotated Chronicles. It is different in that it has annotations from the authors and contributors to the Dragonlance world sprinkled in throughout. And because of that, because you've seen 1,000 Dragons of Autumn Twilight reviews, this is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be specifically talking to the perspectives I gleaned while having read this with the annotations. And there are some things that I learned that I didn't expect to. So let me drive through this review of mine that I wrote up. And at the tail end of it, let's talk about it. And if you're joining me live, please share your thoughts, because I think this is going to be a better collective experience if we have the review on, together. We do it side by side, as it were. Here we go. I only relatively recently became aware of the Annotated Chronicles when I started this Dragonlance YouTube channel. I had wanted to share my thoughts of this campaign world while discovering its history and setting. I never thought about creating review episodes, as the books have been out for like 37 years as of the writing of this review. But since it's new to me, and as it falls under the heading of Dragonlance Readings and Reviews, I thought I should share my thoughts. I first read Dragons of Autumn Twilight around 30 years ago. It propelled my love of this campaign setting and cemented my addiction to advanced Dungeons & Dragons. What I would discover over the years of reading the novels that followed was that it made a real impact on my perspectives and hopes as a young man looking toward my future life. See, I had grown up in the LDS, or Mormon Church as it is commonly known, and after I was baptized, I quickly fell out with its beliefs, and while my family went to church every Sunday, I would stay home and watch fantasy films or read Dragonlance novels. I had wholesale rejected the Mormon faith as not being for me, but more, rebelled against its perceived nonsensical history and Bronze-Aged ideas. This kept me away from fantasy worlds like Narnia for some time. Imagine my surprise when I discovered Tracy Hickman was a devout Mormon, and some of the ideas that are ever present in Dragonlance were drawn directly from his religion. I was past the point of hating everything associated with my family's religion at this point, and I began to appreciate others' perspectives, no matter how different they were to mine, as we're all human and sharing the same rock hurling through space. It was the simplicity of the Dragonlance frame that Tracy drew from his faith, which made it palatable to a young Adam. The complexity grew from that initial triad of good overcoming evil, with neutrality trying to maintain that balance. Dragons of Autumn Twilight presented a Greek form of its pantheon of deities. They engaged directly with the world. And what I didn't know at that first reading is that this is a very Mormon perspective as well. You see, deep in their religious ideas is the concept that everyone has the possibility of becoming their own god, and in fact creating or watching over their own world. In Krynn, I believe Laura and Tracy have done just that in life. The wise old man who inspires change and opportunity in the heroes, Fizban, is said to be an avatar of Tracy himself. And after digesting the annotations of Dragons of Autumn Twilight, I have come to the understanding that this was a very intentional, if not subconscious, choice on the part of the author. It doesn't change my love of the novel, as I am not a Mormon and I wholesale reject the ideas inherent in their religion, but rather, like everyone, I take what I like and I discard what I don't like in life. It simply adds a new complexity in which to dissect the novel, one that I had never considered before. For example, it isn't just the gods being subdominant to the high god, like in their religion. The discs of Mishakal are a literal mirror to the golden tablets in the Joseph Smith myth, the text that restores faith of the true gods to the world. If you know anything about the Mormon religion, you'll understand this is a core tenet of their faith. It's where their foundational text is derived from, concept and all. But again, this is not about the religion Tracy and his wife ascribe to, nor is it about my own past. It's about the information I gleaned from this annotated version of Dragons of Autumn Twilight. And I'm very happy to know it. The annotations grew very sparse in parts, and some are no more meaningful than, quote, "this is my favorite line," end quote references. However, they all add flavor and perspective to a novel I thought I knew everything about, and yet I didn't. The major theme of this novel is hope. Hope that the acts of the individual can make a dark and damaged world, at the very least, just a little bit better. That a few friends can truly make a significant difference in a seemingly hopeless world. And though they don't always believe it themselves, they continue on, trying. It is best framed by Tasselhoff Burfoot in the end of the novel. Quote, "Still," the Kender said softly, "we have to keep trying and hoping. That's what's important, the trying and the hoping. Maybe that's most important of all." End quote. My experience rereading this annotated version of a familiar novel reminded me how wonderfully flawed and quirky each character truly is. How alone they are strong, but together they are strength personified. Nearly every character is at the beginning, middle, or end of their character arcs that are either directly experienced through the course of the novel or hinted to in their past or in future novels. Even the bad guys are fucking developed. Sorry, I didn't mean to drop the F-bomb there. The Dragon High Lord Verminard of Nidus is a direct descendant of Huma Dragonbane. Let that sink in for a second. The bad guy is a direct descendant of the ultimate good guy. The Queen of Darkness, in her brilliant scheming, corrupted the very lineage of the hero who banished her in the Third Dragon War. You don't get more cunning and epic than that. We are presented with a world that has been in torment for 300 years. It's hinted about a deep and rich past and lore of heroes and villains that echo through the ages. Michael Williams presents engaging poetry and songs that balance off the beautiful illustrations of Denis Beauvais and cover art by Larry Elmore. The novel is broken into 2 books. Book 1 deals with the search for the lost gods and Zack Seroth. Book 2 deals with the search for a spokesman for the lost gods and Pax Tharkas. Both stories are intertwined by the Inn of the Last Home as their jumping off points, and climactic struggles with dragons, draconians, and Verminard himself. It ends on a beautiful wedding scene between Goldmoon and Riverwind, chieftain and plainsman of the Quayshu tribes respectively. They are presented as barbarians, but echo indigenous peoples of North America a bit more. The themes presented in the novel are the internal struggle with evil, personal growth, identity, and sense of belonging. Underlying them all is that through action, hope can be realized, and you as an individual have the power to affect change in the world around you, an idea that is truly Western in origin, but proven factual through our own U.S. history. The heroes are presented as our own avatars, who we unravel the mystery of Krynn vicariously through, And I think because they're on a journey of discovery with us, we connect with them that much stronger. I laughed throughout this whole novel, not just as the intentionally funny moments, but the subtle character moments too. My eyes welled up with tears as I connected with so many different character moments, reflected through my own life experience. See, I am now a veteran, husband, and father of two in his mid-40s, so I don't lack in life experience, which this novel reflects back on me in a very powerful way. I'm not discounting the impact nostalgia has on amplifying this effect as well. All in all, even if this book wasn't set in a Dragonlance world, it is a character-driven adventure that's funny, exciting, touching, and mysterious enough to be worth your time as a reader. I highly recommend the Annotated Chronicles version of the novel, and I thank you for your time listening to my review. And that is my review of the Annotated Chronicles, Dragons of Autumn Twilight. What I'm going to be doing here in the future is basically going through reading it in chronological order, the different novels. So the next one I'm going to read is Dragons of Dwarven Depths, which is actually the first novel in the Lost Chronicles, which fits snugly between Dragons of Autumn Twilight and Dragons of Winter Night. And so I'm going to be giving reviews of each of these as I consume them, go through them, and process them after the fact. The annotations are only in the original Chronicles trilogy, and so the new insight that I gleaned from the Annotated Chronicles is not going to be inherent in the other novels, but I figure if I'm going to read them anyway, might as well talk about it. It's content for the channel, and I just love talking about Dragonlance in general. So what do you guys think? Did you dig the Annotated Chronicles? Have you even read it? What are your general thoughts about the influences into a novel? Do they have any bearing on the story itself? Is a work of art, like a painting or a movie or a novel, a reflection of the authors themselves? Or is it simply an item that we should judge on its own merits in its own time? And I ask that because we're in a post-Me Too culture, and there's some film executives whose movies I desperately love, who has, behaved atrociously throughout their lives. I don't judge the work that they produced based on their own life decisions, and so I can't judge an author's work on their life decisions. For example, H.P. Lovecraft was a racist, but I love his stories. Mark Twain, absolutely, if you didn't know, he was a massive bigot to indigenous North American peoples, like, Native Americans. He literally hated them. And yet, I still love his stories. And I think it's possible to divorce the creators from what they create. And I think it's essential that we do that in our culture. Because if not, we're missing out on some truly amazing literature, films, paintings that have affected their genre throughout all of history forward. Certainly when you look at the cultural norms in any given era of human history, they're going to seem abhorrent at worst or mildly odd at best to future generations. And so we as consumers in our modern society must reflect with that knowledge in mind. So if you're not a religious person, does it matter that one of the authors of Dragons of Autumn Twilight was? I don't think it should. If you are a religious person and you disagree with their perspectives, should that affect it? No, I don't think it should. I think what matters is the fact that this novel is engaging and interesting, and that's it. Knowing more about the authors or more about the history or how the novel came to be can inform your understanding of it, but it should not taint it in any way. But again, just my perspective. So again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This wasn't meant to be a long, extensive thing, just something I kind of wanted to talk about the book a little bit. And I didn't really want to, sit down and produce a whole video isolated unto itself. I'd much rather riff live on it. And the truth is I have two other live channels that I run, and I Again, they are live channels, not pre-recorded. This is the first pre-recorded channel that I've really ever, focused on producing. And so I still want to bring in some of those live engaging elements to it. But the fact is that sometimes it's just better to pre-produce. And that's what I'm finding, especially when it comes to existing lore and, pre-existing content focused on Dragonlance specifically. When it's opinions or news, I'm going to bring it to you live just because I have a little bit more fun, especially when you guys engage with me live in the chat as well. So I'm going to take a sip of my wine, raise a glass to the authors, Margaret Weis and Tracy Hickman, and say thank you. And to all of the contributors to Dragonlance, thank you very much. I dig it. And to all of you, and I'm blown away by how many people have tuned into these episodes since the beginning, only a scant more than a month and a half, that I started this channel. I really appreciate you guys' time and attention. Let me know what you would like to see out of this channel. Next week, as a bit of a preview, I have a whole video pre-recorded about the Knights of Solamnia. I just finished recording Wizards of High Sorcery episode. So you have a lot of that coming. That's just pure Dragonlance lore, world knowledge. I hope you dig it as much as I do. I hope you appreciate it because it does take a significant amount of my time to produce. And until next time, Slanjavar.